Hello, everyone. This is Lee Andrews with Akathame. And if you're not familiar with Akathame, we are a talent recruitment or talent acquisition and talent management company. We have decades of experience in the staffing industry and full lifecycle recruitment for both cleared and non-cleared positions within industry and government. And we have stood up several teams within our clients. So if you need anything in that space, don't hesitate to give us a shout. Okay, so I want to get onto this topic very quickly because it seems to be quite sensitive. It's not going away anytime soon. And there's a lot of confusion around what fit is, excuse me, and what fit isn't. So let's get to it. So let's start first with, I'm just responding to all the questions that I've received about fit. So we're just going to go through them one at a time. Hey, Charlotte, thanks for joining us. I appreciate your insight on this too, Charlotte. And by the way, if you ever need some amazing candles, you want to check out Charlotte's product. Charlotte, can you put in your shop, your online shop, where people can get them? All right, let's start with the first question. What came first, fit or culture? Well, to understand this, we actually have to go back even further to see where this came from. So in my mind, and by the way, everything on these live with Lee's, from my perspective, is my opinion, subject to change based on further information as time goes on. But this is my opinion. And so if you want to share yours, you're more than welcome to. Make your comments in the chat, or you can always email me afterwards. All right, and the email is lee@akathame.com, and I'll share that at the end. All right, so what came first, fit or culture? And I'm going to say the first thing that came first is humans. Human beings define the fit and the culture. Now, understand that the culture is the hierarchy of this of an organization's model. Whatever the culture is of the model, starting at the top of the organization, it filters all the way down, and that's what brings us down to the fit. So once we define or understand what the culture is, it's easier for us to understand fit. However, it gets very complicated because the overarching culture of an organization is not necessarily the same fit or culture within a department. It's really confusing and quite frustrating. But if you've worked in a large company, you will hear very frequently, don't go to that manager because they do blah, 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 blah. It's not going to be a good fit for you. Those words come out all the time. You're also going to hear things like, you definitely want to work with this manager, or you want to work in this department because you get to work on cool things and they need people like you who can blah, 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 and fit. So that's question number one. So we're going to get started there. All right, the next question that I receive is a very common question. What is meant by fit? So when I talk about fit, I talk about fit in a very logical, sensible way. I try to steer away from the personality, which is another question we're going to ask. What is the difference between personality and fit? Is there a personality? And it absolutely is. But let's first define fit in most people's minds and the reality of it. And this is where people's, their hair stands up when they hear this word fit, right? Fit really is, what it boils down to is we need to understand if we're talking about biases, which is a preference, or are we talking about discrimination, which is wrong. So a bias, meaning a preference, people will tend to be a little bit more negotiable with their biases. If a person has really shown that they can do a great job, some managers and some people are really good at putting aside the personal preferences and really looking past all of that and getting down to what that person can do and what they will do and the results that they bring. However, if we look at fit in a more let's see what is, so if we look at fit in a more logical sense, we can say that it really boils down to three things that we should be focusing on. And I didn't come up with this. I have borrowed this for the past 20 years of my career from two people who came up with it, Kathy Candland and Dr. Wendy Rothman. These two women started a staffing company many, many years ago together called Advantage, and it's now, I think, called Advantage Human Resource Staffing. But back in the day, they taught us that fit can be a measurable aspect of finding the right person for each role. And I will tell you that it is true. Every time that I deviate from the formula, which is can do, will fit, and I create interview questions that uncover each of those things, each of those areas, can do, will fit. Anytime I skimp on will fit, that's lethal. It is lethal for the candidate and it's lethal for the client, meaning that it will not work. The match will not be appropriate. So what do I do to make sure that that I articulate what that meaning is, what I'm interviewing for? I'm looking at attitude, initiative, and reliability. I am not talking about personal behaviors in terms of, do they keep a neat desk or are they really talkative? Not that I would ever have that problem, but hey, could happen. Are they upbeat and all this other stuff? I'm not necessarily looking at that. However, all of that translates into one of those three categories: attitude, initiative, reliability. Attitude, will they do what it takes to get the job done? How will they do what it takes to get the job done? And does it align with how that team does what it takes to get the work done? Are they flexible? Are they clock watchers? Are they only in their swim lane? Do they not want to help other people in the organization? Initiative, and this is a big one. If somebody has too high of an initiative, meaning that they'll look at that product and say, oh man, they're like a Steve Jobs. They look at the TV and they go, we're doing TV all wrong. It's just none of it's right. So Steve goes in and he fabricates how people are watching TV. Or are they the person who look at that TV and just say, I wonder what they want me to do with this TV? Meaning that they lack initiative. These people are individuals who need to be told what to do. And that's really where it's at. So when I'm asking a hiring manager, what level of initiative do you want to see in this employee? I look at the levels of learning. Do they want somebody in that is hungry to learn it? Do they want somebody in who has enough knowledge to be dangerous, but they know they're going to fall off the bike and try to get on again? Do they want somebody who's going to be able to come in and look at something and say, that's your problem and here's the solution? Or here's a problem that you didn't realize that you had, so let's figure out what we can do to fix it. So attitude and initiative, when it gets dangerous, and this is really where problems come into place. When people look at fit and they base fit purely off of preferences and biases, and again, let me remind you what the difference is between bias, preference, and discrimination. Bias is nothing more than a preference. I am partial to, I am biased towards, I'm biased towards my parents, and they're biased towards me. We have a connection, a little connection. So of course, people that you care about, you're going to be biased towards them. Things that you like, your favorite ice cream, you're going to be biased towards it. And how people get work done, you're going to be biased towards how somebody keeps their desk or how somebody responds to an email. There are people who get chastised for putting smiley face icons in their emails. They call that unprofessional. That's a bias. When it becomes discrimination, a bias a preference you can often overlook and get past, or at least you can try. A good professional should be able to do that, especially in a leader, because you don't want everybody to be cookie cutter, right? You want difference on your team. That's what makes inclusion and diversity fun, is to have people with different understandings, knowledge, skills, personalities, all that other kind of stuff. But attitude and initiative and reliability must be equal, right? How you actually have those personal quirks is one thing. The attitude that you bring, the initiative that you bring, and the sense of reliability that you have towards the team, that is what fit is usually made of. So discrimination means that you have no tolerance for something. So, and that's when we start getting into age, sex, religion, ethnicity, whatever it is. Those are non-negotiables for you. So that is where we are with fit. Let's see what the other questions. How does fit take shape in the workplace? So in an earlier post, and I shared this many, many times, that research shows that most people do not make it in their jobs, succeed in their jobs because of fit. Has absolutely nothing to do with their ability to do the job. And now I'm stuttering. I'm so excited about this topic. I'm stuttering. Their ability to do the job or their willingness to do the job. It's all about because they didn't fit. Now, let me give you a real example. I know an exceptional UX designer. He is, bar none, one of the best, most brilliant hybrid UX designers I have ever met in my decades-long career in representing creative talent, right? He's got it all, but he can be a real ass, a big ass, arrogant, rude, cuts people off, insinuates. Fortunately for him, his brain is so big and it works so fast that he gets frustrated working with people who aren't as smart as him. So when you represent somebody like that, it has to be in a group of people of equal intelligence. Now, the challenge for him is that he doesn't like disagreement, right? He doesn't do well with that. He has a tendency of thinking that he has the right answer all the time, not most of the time, all of the time. So in that area, when I talk about fit with him, I come right out and tell him, and I'm like, so dude, here's the thing. I'm not going to represent you there because you're not going to make it. You're going to last 24 hours and then I'm going to be called to come and pick up the body bag. It's just not going to work for you. Now, mind you, I have these conversations with talent all day long, every day. Why? Because I don't want to set them up for failure. Why? Because I don't want to set the hiring manager up for failure. I'm going to be so particular around this fit factor that it's going to ensure that the final decision is going to be the right decision, and they have a long and happy relationship for as long as they want that relationship to continue, but not just 30, 60, 90 days. I want it to be at least a year or two long. Ideally. So people are changing jobs every 2 to 3 years. Well, maybe not so much right now, but when things pick up, they'll be doing it again. So anyway, that's that. If you guys have any questions, by all means, please do ask them. Politics and social dynamics are real. Okay, let's talk about that. So fit as it relates to politics and social dynamics. I think we talked about the social part of it, but politics, especially right now, politics does not, when we talk about politics, you're talking about government politics, and then you're talking about the politics of an organization. And really, they're equally as complex and complicated. When you talk about the politics of an organization, which one of the best compliments I ever received from my boss, whom I've known for over 25 years, she asked me, she says, Lee, how do you stay out of the mud? How do you stay out of the gossip? And I will tell you how I've been able to successfully do that for decades, because I don't care. Unless I am there, I am hired to do a job. I am hired to provide a service to my customer. My customer just so happens to be the person that I report to and the entire organization. If I keep those people as my customers and I know that they're happy, the rest of it all takes care of themselves. If I start to play games and find out who's doing what to get where and try to climb over somebody else to do something else and get where, no, that's not how I play. That's just not, it doesn't make work fun. It makes work even more work. So you stay out of the politics by staying in your lane. Focus on what you have to focus. Should you be aware of political stuff? Absolutely. I need to be a part of it? Absolutely not. Am I a part of it? Probably. I don't know. I'm sure people talk behind my back every day of the week, and I'm fine with that. It's none of my business what they say behind my back. What they say to me is a little different. That has nothing to do, that is separate from fit. However, if somebody doesn't understand how to work within that type of an organization and doesn't have a mindset that's focused on doing their job for all the right reasons, and their motives are off and they're selfish and self-serving, that's when things become a problem. Remember, fit, attitude, initiative, reliability. It's not how I'm squeezing my toothpaste before I come into the office. So politics, be aware of it, but you don't have to be a part of it. I have gotten up out of meetings, I've been told, I don't remember this, but apparently I got up out of a meeting, just said, okay, this meeting's over, when we stopped talking about the business at hand. I mean, that is how far away I stay from politics. Does it come to my desk? All the time. Do I feed into it? Nope, not worth it. Okay, let's see, what else do we have here? We talked about personality. Is there a logical scientific approach? We got that. We talked about fit and code. Okay, so I think that's it. I think I've answered all the questions. Unless you guys have any questions, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to make some suggestions. We're going to get to the suggestion piece. If you are a candidate, know your fit. Know what works well for you. What at various parts in our life stages, we have various degrees of initiative. We have various degrees of where we are flexible, which is also part of reliability. So reliability, I want you to think of reliability is like flexibility, communication, and how committed are you to whatever it is that somebody wants you to commit to or what you want to commit to. At various stages of our life, as human beings, we have various stages of fit. It changes. What we want to do and how we want to do it changes. What I wanted to do today is very different than what I wanted to do 40 years ago. So I've got to be aware of that. I own my career. The hiring manager is not responsible for making me happy. Let's keep that in mind as a job seeker. The company, the hiring manager, is not responsible for my happiness. As a recruiter, the company recruiter is not responsible for finding you a job. Your job is to find a job. Your responsibility. Your job is to select that job or select that work based on what you think will make you successful. And how you do that is you look at the work itself. You look at the technology that they're using, you look at the process that they're applying, and you look at the people on the team. How do they work? What is their level of attitude, initiative, and reliability? I have a friend who took a job who found out that the team that he joined was dead. They wanted him to do all the work. They knew he was a workhorse. That's why they hired him. They pawned everything off on him. Inside 2 weeks, he was gone. The first question I asked him is, David, did you ask the question? Did you ask the questions around attitude, initiative, and reliability? And if you want to know what those questions are, that's part of my coaching program. I go through all of them in great detail. So don't hesitate to reach out to me, and we'll make sure you get everything that you need. But one of the key questions that you can ask every single person on the team is Lou Adler's best question. And I still use it to this day. It's been good for, 20 years. What is your most significant accomplishment? Ask the hiring manager. Ask the people on the team. Those people on your team, on that team, are interviewing you, but you need to be interviewing them just as much. The one question you can ask any member of any team at any level within an organization, from the CEO to the maintenance folks, is what has been your most significant accomplishment over the past year? And then you ask them why. Why was that so significant? And what you're listening for is their attitude, how excited they are, how, forthcoming they are with information, how willing they are to work with other people, their level of initiative, how much drive they came up and saw how they solved the problem, or how they worked with other people in solving the problem, how collaborative they are, and then reliability, meaning did they stick it out? Did they go from start to finish? Were they flexible? Were they amenable to feedback? All of those things can come out with those two questions. What's your most significant accomplishment over the past year? And how did you do it? And then ask for details. Get that image in your mind of how that person likes to work. If you think you can work within those parameters, then you've got a good fit. There's that word. That's where fit comes in. Focus on attitude, initiative, reliability. And by the way, if you're a jerk and ass, you will not fit anywhere, not even with other jerks and assholes. I'm telling you now, it won't work. All right. So the other thing, So if you are a hiring manager, you have to be, again, sit down and really assess what are your preferences. What are your preferences? And if you want to break it down to attitude, initiative, and reliability, do that. You don't need a personality test to come up with this, unless, of course, you are lying to yourself. If you are somebody who constitutionally is incapable of being honest with yourself, then go ahead and take that personality test, take that work style test. There's nothing wrong with them. They certainly pull out communication styles, they pull out all that kind of stuff. But if you are honest with yourself about what makes you a good manager, what makes you a good hiring manager, what makes you a good teammate or a team leader, doesn't make any difference. What makes you good at what you do, if you're honest about that, you will be able to understand the differences between your biases and your discriminations. And if you work with HR, they can help you, which is where those personality tests might come in handy, that they can actually help you work on your communication style, change how you, bring a learner from, step 1 to step 4 in the learning scale, situational leadership, things like that. That's where HR becomes a really big help. It gives you that outside perspective. But you've got to be honest and sit down and say, this is what I'm good at in managing people. This is where I fall short. These are my preferences. These are my discriminators. And if your discriminators fall anywhere into age, race, sex, ethnicity, religion, whatever, think twice about that. That is not cool. And people, sorry about that. My alerts keep coming through and I don't know why. That will be picked up on rather quickly by your team, by the candidates. And incidentally, when I receive requirements and have received for decades, requirements where somebody will tell me that they want a specific person to behave a certain way. In other words, they want their files stored on their hard drive in a certain way. They want the Word document or the Excel document to have certain levels of Excel. That is about a can-do question. And then is the candidate willing to do it that way? Again, that's also a fit. That's also tied to fit. Because if you have a candidate who wants to do things that way, their way, or no other way, and isn't willing to learn, that's fit. I hope you see the difference between personality or somebody saying, they weren't a fit because they were a jerk, right? That's one thing that can happen versus the real way to articulate fit, attitude, initiative, and reliability. So hopefully this helps. If I'm checking for questions, let's see. CPT, I forgot what CPTD was. Margaret, what did he say? I forgot what that was. Alexander Salas says CPTB. I don't remember what it was. Well, okay. So I think that's it for me for today. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I'm going to post my email here right now. It was a pleasure. And as always, if you need me, I am here. Enjoy the hiring process. You're getting to meet really cool people, I hope, and be picky and choosy about those people that you are meeting. So don't apply to everything. Do your homework. All right, guys, have a great one. Take care.